In this video I'm going to show you 3 ideas and techniques of reharmonization that I commonly use when I'm arranging and composing. You don't have to be an arranger to get something out of these techniques, but I just find that these ideas are really useful when writing ensemble figures and horn lines. Okay, let's start with something you may not have tried before. The first technique is to add a rising or falling melody. I do this most commonly in the bass, but it could be in the accompaniment or on top of the texture as well. And then I see what sort of chords the new line suggests and try them out. Let's take the jazz standard, You Don't Know What Love Is. Here's what it sounds like with the usual chords. So I'm going to write a rising melody in the bass all in half notes or minims. This rising melody could be chromatic or a scale. In this case, it's mostly diatonic with some chromaticism thrown in. I like listening to the tensions that it creates, and I take note of what pitches I like the sound of. Sometimes you get nice accidents like the D flats meeting up, and sometimes you get quite tense notes that you didn't really consider before, like the A natural. Then I try and put chords to these bass notes, making sure to include the harmony of the melody. Some of the chords, like the B flat minor 9, are diatonic, and some are created just because of the specific bass line and melody, like the A major 7. Isn't that interesting? There are a few options instead of the A major, such as A minor major 7. Or A diminished. Try them out, see what you like best. Then when you're at this point, you can choose whether or not you like any of the new chord creations and use them in your piece and discard the others. Now, why would I use a rising line instead of a more typical descending line? I guess I like the tension it brings, and because it's rising it really catches the ear. And with some rhythmic adjustments they can make for great horn or ensemble lines and counter melodies. I'll show you an example soon from one of my arrangements. You can definitely try this in the middle of the texture as well as on the top. Now let's try a more typical descending bass line, and this time I'll stick strictly to a chromatic scale. And now I'll add chords again. A lot of them default to dominant chords, which is quite typical in descending bass lines. Here are a couple of examples where I have used this technique in arrangements. I used it in my bossa arranging harmonization of If You Never Come to Me. Here at the end of the A section, the bass line works its way down to the root note. And here is a rising bass line which I used to inspire some ensemble figures, a diminished chord, and an inversion. This is from my arrangement of You Go to My Head and the miles ahead style. At the top are the original chords, and here are the chords I put in there. I kept the original D flat in there as well. Here's what it sounds like. I've made a couple of videos about this arrangement if you'd like to see it in more detail. I use the rising melody in the middle of the texture in this arrangement as well. Links are in the description. Other things to try with this technique are different rhythms of the ascending or descending line, starting on a different chord tone, and using different scales. Okay, the next technique is more of a traditional substitution one that I find super useful. If you get to a dominant chord and you just don't like the resulting sound, a good substitution to make is with a 7 flat 9 chord a minor third away. There is a relationship between 7 flat 9 chords, which you can see in this example. Just by cycling the root note minor thirds, we get new 7 flat 9 chords. On my harmonization of Have You Met Miss Jones, linked to the videos in the description, I did exactly this trick. I just found that I didn't enjoy the sound of the D flat 7 here, as I felt it was too consonant, and I wanted the tension to release at the start of the next A section. So let's try this technique. Here it is with B flat 7, a G7, the tritone sub, and an E7. I ended up selecting the E7, and I utilized its 2 chord as well, B minor. You might have noticed that this reharmonization is the same as a backdoor 2/5, so this is more of a common technique that works really well. Here's what it sounds like with a recorded sax section. And now onto the last technique, which is voice leading. When you are stuck with what chord to use, or you need a different sound, this can be really useful. I borrowed this technique from Gil Evans, who I've heard use it a couple of times. Now obviously throughout the harmony we're using voice leading all the time, so what do I mean in this instance? Well, I basically approach the target chord using all or mostly semitones. Here's an example from my arrangement of You Go to My Head Again. Before the bridge, I wanted to extend the A section by a couple of bars, using the introduction motif. But because I extended the section, I needed a couple of more bars with different harmonies. Here is the introduction, and here is the final version. Notice the first 4 chords are the same, and then I added a 5 chord, and then an F sharp minor over B flat. Where did I get that chord from, you ask? From semitone voice leading. The first chord of the bridge is in A flat 6/9, so I voiced that in the ensemble. Then working backwards, I moved each of these 3 pitches which were played by the trombones by a semitone. The C sharp falls to the C, the A rises to the B flat, and the F sharp falls to the F. And it happened to come out as an F sharp minor chord. It has a nice tension that still has some resolution when the A flat 6/9 arrives. It does help that this is done over a pedal note, but it can work in lots of different situations. You can try moving the pitches up or down to give you lots of different combinations. If you enjoyed this, I also have a video about tritone substitution alternatives. Let me know down below if you have any questions, or if you'd like to see some more reharmonization techniques. If you're really into this stuff, I also give online lessons and have a PDF workbook for sale. Links are in the description. Peace!